So a lot of people ask me, Chico, with all of these new iOS 14 updates, is Facebook still good? Does it suck? Is it horrible? Well, in this video, I'm actually gonna answer some of those questions. And I'm gonna answer those questions because my buddy Howard here, who I just had lunch with, was asking me those same questions. And I figured, you know what? Why don't I just answer it for you, Howard? But maybe we'll get it on record too, and we'll answer it for a few other people that want to know.
That's good.
We just finished eating lunch at a restaurant called Lona's in Fort Lauderdale, Mexican restaurant. I like my margarita. However, it was kind of mixed on the food, would you say? On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Fajitas a 10, everything else about a 7.
I would say that's pretty accurate. So the question is, does the new updates for Apple iOS 14, how do they affect Facebook? And so I was explaining to Howard that the issue is that when you download the new update for Apple iOS 14, it's asking you if you want any app, really, but the one that we care about is Facebook. It's asking you if you want that app to track you. The way it works is that if you go on Zillow, right? Zillow has a little pixel installed on it, the Facebook pixel. And when you go to Zillow, it sends a signal to Facebook, letting Facebook know that you visited Zillow. So that way, if I want to target people who visited Zillow, then Facebook knows that you were there, Howard. I can show my ads to them. However, with the Apple iOS 14, if you decide that you don't want any data tracking, then you're essentially cutting off that lifeline between the website and Facebook, and now Facebook no longer knows that you're there. So then now that makes the targeting off. And so the question is, how is that going to affect Facebook? The one place that it's affecting Facebook is going to be retargeting. Like you say, if you go to a website because you wanted to visit, you're visiting Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and you visited there because you wanted to, you're entertaining a vacation. So Royal Caribbean can serve ads to you, so that way they can retarget you and say, hey, Howard, you were at our website. Why don't we give you this special deal on a vacation, right? So they can kind of know that you were there and target you with the ads. However, though, if you're an iOS 14, that means if you have an iPhone and you selected no tracking, that means that Royal Caribbean doesn't know that you're at their website, which means that Royal Caribbean can't track you anymore. So now that loses its effectiveness. So retargeting is not going to be as good as it was before. But retargeting was never that great for us anyway. So to me, it doesn't matter. All these things are rolling out. So it's going to take quite a few months before everybody updates their apps, and finally we know how many people are going to say no and how many people are going to say yes. I happen to think that a lot of people are going to say no, because we were having a conversation with the waitress, and we asked her. Did you hear that conversation I was having with her?
The natural instinct is to say no.
Yeah, but the way she said no.
Yep.
Like she said no, like, oh no.
Hell no. To the no.
I don't want them to know what I'm doing. This is horrible. So what they're saying is that the majority of people are going to opt out and going to say no, which I think is going to be the case. Which you said no, right?
That's
Did
right.
you say no?
That's right.
So why did you say no, by the way?
Just a natural instinct to not be tracked.
Right. Now, what if Facebook showed you a message and say, hey, the only way we can remain free to you is for you to help us show ads to people. And so then can we track you? If they had a nice message like that, would you still say no?
I wouldn't mind.
You wouldn't mind. If you said no, right, then that means that Facebook is going to start showing you ads about stuff that you don't really care about. So for example, like the other day I was searching for something, and all of a sudden I start seeing ads for this thing, and I'm like, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, this is excellent. I was looking at buying this thing, and now Facebook is showing me all these a variety of different options. But now that may be a little bit off. So when you go on Facebook, you might see an ad to have your eyebrows waxed, but you may not have a desire to have your eyebrows waxed. That kind of deal.
That's how the tracking is off.
Yeah, that's how the tracking is off. So then what we're doing about it is, right now it's too early. We're just continually testing and so on, but we are going deeper and into PPC. So because we don't want to be stuck with just one thing, right, that we have. We're really going and doing a lot more in PPC, and we want to build that up so that in the event that something happens with Facebook and it completely falls off, then we have another avenue to be able to generate leads. There's always a way to work the system, right? It's just a matter of finding it. Facebook is a little bit harder than it was before. Like, I don't know, a couple years ago, a year ago, it was a lot easier to navigate, a lot less restrictions. But now there's so many switches to turn on and off, and so many things that you have to configure in order to make sure that the account is right. And then so it is a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible, but I don't know. The thing I always say, Howard, is that, and you know this because you experienced this, is that an opportunity works, but it doesn't work forever. So when it's working, you make as much money as you can, as fast as you can, and then when it doesn't, then you move on and you find something else.
Adapt.
And adapt, exactly. And you always have to adapt. That's the only thing that I say, is that you always have to adapt.
Oh yeah, and adapting, as you said, is the key to everything.
Right. So, and the other thing is with Google is that you have intent. Facebook, nobody's searching to sell their house, so they're just kind of browsing around, looking at cat videos, etc. And then they see the ad, so they respond to it. But sometimes, they're a little bit difficult to get a hold of, versus somebody who's on Google and they're, clicking away. They're searching, sell my house fast. I need to sell my house fast. So those people are highly motivated. So that's a positive at Google. But on Google, you're going to spend more money on those leads. So like I say, if I run a campaign in Florida for Facebook ads, the cost per lead would be like $35. If I ran that same campaign in Google, the cost per lead is going to be more like, if I get everything right, more like $75, but typically about $100 to $150 per lead.
Big difference.
Yeah, but the other part of it is you need less of those PPC leads, right?
So it balances out.
Yeah. So the question that I had, maybe this is a question for you, like if you were starting out and you were trying to do this business, the one thing I would say is that if you had more leads and they were cheaper leads, but maybe they were less quality lead, wouldn't that be better for you because you get more reps in? Like you have an opportunity to talk to more people and not have to practice on like really expensive leads?
Absolutely. I mean,
right.
Practice makes perfect.
Now, by the way, when I'm asking you these questions, you can say, no, I disagree. So you don't have to agree to everything I say. So if you had a choice of either Facebook or Google, based on what you know and what I've told you, any one that you would pick?
If I'm new, I'm picking Facebook for the reps. If I'm experienced, I'm taking Google because I want the quality leads.
Yeah, and what's funny is that's exactly what happens. The pros, they don't want 100 leads. They want like a small number of leads that'll convert and that'll do well, and they don't want the volume. So you're exactly correct. You want the reps, and then after that, then you don't need any more reps. You just need you're now a killer. So you just want to go out and hunt and kill, right?
Absolutely.
That's
what I would do. Exactly.
That's right. There you have it. That's what's happening in the world of Facebook and Google. Howard, again, you might see him again in another video. He takes no royalties or makes any income, but he does fully endorse me, and he always wears the most amazing hats.